everybody, thank you for joining me. It's Carol here at Aakash Journals, and this is part 8 in this little mini series that I'm doing on a fabric journal filled with mini wreath embroideries. So I'm about to start my next wreath embroidery. Now these two on the top here are a lot smaller, as you can see, than these. Now these are the standard size that I've been embroidering, and even these are not very big. They're about 3.5 inches across. These are even smaller, as you can see. And originally I didn't plan to include these in my fabric journal, but they're too nice not to include. Obviously I haven't got enough surrounding fabric to make these into a page. So what I might do with these is just to turn a hem like that all the way round, and then actually stitch the hemmed embroidered piece onto a page in the journal. So I'm going to include this little one, this lovely little one, very sweet. It's almost like a little tattoo, isn't it? So I'm going to include those at the end. So I will be embroidering those. These are the last two big ones that I've got. And as you can see from this one, it's very similar to the one I did last month. The last one, if you remember, had ivy leaves. This one has, well, they look like beech leaves. The last one had brambles up here and down here, and these just look like little twigs. So as much as I would love to do this one next, I'm going to have a little bit of a break because it's too similar, as I say, to the last one. So I'm going to do that another month. The one I am going to do next is this one. And I don't think this one's going to take me very long at all. Very simple. I'm not going to do these pine trees in the middle. I might leave it blank, or I might find another little image that I can draw in there. But for now, I have to leave it there, because if I get rid of those by ironing over it, because it's all done with a Friction marker pen, it will erase some of the surrounding wreath. So I'm going to leave that in place until I've embroidered all the way around the outside, and then I can make a decision about whether I'm going to put anything in the middle. So as I say, this is the one that I'm going to start this month. These look like little sprigs of pine. These, I'm not sure what they're supposed to be, so I might do whipped wheels for those. As you can see, there's some tiny little dots here, there and everywhere. Well, those I'm obviously going to do French knots. I can't not do some French knots on these. So I'm just going to hold this up to the camera. Sorry about the shaft of sunlight coming in through the blinds there, but that's what the little embroidery looks like. So I'm going to love you and leave you for a moment or two. I'm going to go away, dig out some threads, and then I'll be back to mention what threads I'm going to use. So I'm back with my thread choices, and no great surprise, they're more or less the same threads that I've been using throughout this whole little journal. I want to have the consistency or flow going through the journal. So let me show you what I've decided. If I hold this up to the camera, you can see I've already made a start with the stitching, and for the outline of the wreath, I've gone for 3011 DMC thread, as I'm using throughout. I'm going to use this, which is 732 for the branches, I've decided. And for these, as much as it would have been nice to have done a soft pink for roses or something like that, I think these are very much autumnal colours, and it would stand out too much from the other embroideries. So I'm going to go for these threads. I'm certainly going to use the 869. I would have liked to have used the 420, but they're too close together, and I do want these to stand out a little bit. So I'm going to dispense with that one, and I'm going to go in with 3829 because I think they have a nice play together there. So as I've said, I've done split back stitch for here, and I'm going to pull the camera down and do another little bit of stitching, maybe that bit for you. Split back stitch is incredibly easy to do. You've seen me stitch it before, but split back stitch and stem stitch, I find, are really the best two stitches if you want to create any sort of curve or do lettering. So I've got a needle threaded up here with two threads of the DMC thread, and it was this 3011, and I've just got a quilter's knot in the end And I'm just going to drop the camera down, pop my needle in there to start us off, and I'm going to drop the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so that should be better. So as always, so just a little tiny bite of fabric going forward. Sorry, going forward there. It's probably a bit too big. It's lovely when you do this stitch with 2 strands of DMC thread because you can go between the threads. Just checking there that I hadn't skewered my knot. And another tiny little bite of fabric. This stitch is very forgiving because if you don't quite get on your line, as I haven't there, when you go in to divide those threads to place your stitch, you can actually push them over slightly so that they get back onto the line. And there we go, that's my final stitch going in there. A little bit wonky because obviously I'm stitching on camera as always. Doesn't come out as smooth and even as this side when I'm not working with the camera overhead. So there we go, everybody. I'm just going to end off my piece of thread here. I could weave it all the way through, but I'm just going to do a couple of little tiny knots. There we go. I'm going to use the rest of my thread here. I'm going to stitch that bit. I'm not going to do it on camera. I'll do it off camera because I get a better result. And then I'm going to go in and start doing my pine branches with the 732, and I'll come back when I've done a few of those. So I'm back, and this is where I've got to so far with this little one. I'm just going to pop that off to one side and try and hold this up to the camera a little bit. As you can see, I've done quite a few of these woven wheels. I'm really pleased how they're looking. I've got a spare one to do there, a couple to do down here. So I'm going to stitch one on camera with you now. I'm going to drop the camera down a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to carry on with this lighter colour thread here that I've been using and do one in here. And then I think I'm going to have to change to a different colour or bring in a dark brown, certainly on this one, because I want to try and get a mixture of colours. So let's do one, and I'm going to do, which one shall I do? I'm going to do this little one in here. Now these are super easy. I've got 2 threads in here of my DMC thread, and I'm just going to come up to one side of my center spoke or my center. Now you can either stitch these, and please excuse me if I'm teaching you to suck eggs and you've been stitching these for years, but there's bound to be somebody that is new to this particular stitch. So I've done 5 spokes. You want an uneven number of spokes, and you can either stitch them going through your stitches or under your stitches using the pointed end of your needle, or some people prefer to use the eye of the needle, which is a blunt end. I don't really mind, but the premise of this stitch, and it couldn't be easier, is that you go over one spoke and under the next, and you just carry on doing that until you've filled out your woven wheel. Now I'm going to drop the camera and let you see what I'm doing, so let's do that first. So I hope that's a little bit better for you, and I will be lifting it up so that you can see a little bit more clearly. So as you can see, I've gone under my first spoke, I've gone over the top, under my second one, over my next one, and I will turn my needle round, and then over, under, over, under, and that's literally all you do. Just keep on going round, and that's why you need to have an odd number, because you want to alternate as you go round. So on one circuit you're going under a particular stitch, or spoke rather, and on the next circuit you're going over. But this stitch is incredibly forgiving. If you make a mistake, don't unpick it, just carry on, because these little stitches get packed so close together that you won't be able to spot where you've made a mistake. And I've got a cat hair there. No, it isn't. There we go. You won't be able to spot where you've made a mistake in the slightest. And I'm just going to go round, just doing that. And as I said before, you just carry on going round until you cannot get your needle under your spokes. And sometimes you do have to push your needle under where you remember your spoke being, and just hope for the best, but you usually feel it with your needle if you've caught it. See, now I'm having to just feel in the general direction where I knew that spoke was. And I've got one here I'm having to feel. I've got a variegated DMC thread in here, which is quite nice, but there's not much of a variegation, so whilst I am getting a little bit of different colorations going on, I'm not getting a lot. And you can do these as loose or as tight as you want them to be. So again, just feeling for where that last spoke is, because I can hardly see it. I like my woven wheels to be quite full, and I'm also letting my thread not pull tight together. I'm just letting it slightly be loose so that I can get a little bit of interest towards the outside of my wheels. Sometimes these are called spiders wheels. So now I've come to the end, and all I need to do is just spot where I want to put my needle, just to finish off. And you can actually do your spider's webs or your wheels by stitching, and rather than use the spokes you can go around and just make stitches like I'm doing here. But as I've got a little bit of thread left, I'm just going to use it up by doing some random stitches around the outside. Hardly got any thread left, so I'm struggling a little bit here. And this one coming out halfway along the last stitch that I did. And I'm just going to go down on this side here, just there, I think. And I'm going to just put my thumb there to catch it. There we go, just to push that stitch in place. And there we go. Just really, really simple and easy. And as you can see, you can do them as small or as large as you want. That's a very small one, as you can see. This one I've done a medium size one. So I'm just going to finish off that little scrap of thread I've got left in my needle, and I'm going to stitch this one in this dark colour here. And then as you can see, I've got another one up there, so I might actually do another dark brown up there. And it doesn't matter what colour your spokes are, as you can see, because when you whip your wheel with the threads that you want your wheel or your main little floret to be, then that completely hides your spokes. So it's ideal for using up little random pieces of thread. So I'm going to get these two done, and then I'm going to give this a press to get rid of the outside Frisco marker pen lines, and then I'm also going to give this an iron to get rid of these fir trees in the middle, because I don't want those there. And actually I think I'm just going to leave this one bare there, rather than put a motif in the middle, which I originally thought I would do. So as I say, I'm going to go away and do that, and then I'll be back to show you the finished little embroidery. What I thought might be quite nice is just to put some little single chain stitch leaves in random places in here. So I'm going to do that with this one, 3011, which is one of the colours I've used. So I'm just going to get on and do that, and then I'll be back with the finished piece with all the Frisco marker pen markings ironed away. So here we go, everybody. This is my finished little embroidery. Now I've pressed it and all the Frisco marker pen lines are gone. As I said I would, I've gone in and done some little lazy daisy stitches. I did plan to do very random ones just in a couple of places, but I more or less ended up doing them anywhere that there was a gap in these little whipped wheels. And I also went in with a few extra French knots in the same green. Now you're probably not going to see that on camera now, but as always I'll put some close-up photos at the end of the video so that you can have a better look. So that's my finished piece, or my finished wreath for this month. Give me a couple of days and I will root out the final couple of wreaths that I have left to embroider and get started on the next one. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video and seeing this little wreath come together. Until the next video, everybody, take care. Bye-bye now.